Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Checklist?
Yep, go for it.
Notes.
Notes.
First aid kit.
Ooh, what do we need a first aid kit?
I've no idea.
Okay, just in case.
The Bible.
The Bible? You mean this Bible?
Let's tackle one of the most interesting Roman roads to date that we've looked at. It gets better. It actually gets better.
It's not like Paul to go into a hedge, is it?
Well, our journey today, Rebecca, starts just to the west of Winchester. So Winchester's like a couple of miles down the hill that way. We're in Farley Mount Country Park. I don't want to underplay how excited I am about today's journey. I know we always say that, we always try and big it up, but this is just wonderful. This is a Roman road that was one of the earliest Roman roads in this country, and for good reason. We've been on part of this before, but we haven't done this section. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what? I don't know what to call it. Welcome to a really exciting journey where there is loads to see. I mean, generally loads to see on this Roman road. It's really quite exciting. I'll think of a catchy name so we can help sell the YouTube video.
Okay.
So before I give you any more context about this Roman road and tell you what it was about and what they used it for, just trying to find it. But I'm gonna head in this hedge just here because I've got a feeling somewhere in here will be what we're looking for, and I think to my left, out, just there, could well be it. So we're back on the lead road. Now we've looked at the lead road a couple of times before. It went from Winchester all the way up to the Mendips where they got lead. Now they'd obviously known about the resource up at the Mendips before because this was one of the earliest Roman roads and they headed straight for it. They made a beeline. Now, as I said, we've looked at this before, but we've only ever done really the sections from Salisbury up to the Mendips. We've never done the most important part, the first part. And it's an absolute fascination because there's so much still to see, a 2,000-year-old road. So today we're covering the journey from Winchester to Salisbury, or Winchester to Sarum. So here we are. This is what we wanted to show you. There's nothing physical to show you, but this was the exact spot where a Roman villa was found, and no doubt there'll be a lot more villas around here, perhaps a certain distance apart from each other, as we've learnt from one of our videos we did recently. The B roads of Great Britain, Roman B roads of Great Britain. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
So we've come back from the villa that we saw, the site of the villa, and we're now looking again for the Roman road, and we're going to get back on the Roman road and head to Sarum and show you all the wonderful bits of it. Speaking of wonderful bits, Rebecca, look at that.
Oh,
that's it, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's where we were before.
Yeah, and I mean the pathway just carries on going over the top of it ahead of us. You wouldn't even know for looking, would you? But if you look to our left, and how well that comes out on camera I don't know, but even then look to our right and look at it. That's a huge bank. But I'll point like there, it's huge ditch down here.
Yep.
There, so the top of the Roman road is there. That's so impressive, isn't it?
Mm.
I know on this channel get a little bit excited about old routes, railways and canals, and certainly Roman roads. Well, just look at what is to my left. I love the fact that this is 2,000 years old, just shy of 2,000 years old, and still there for us to see, almost as you see that broken fallen tree on there. Well, that is the top of the Roman road. That tree actually helps us give some perspective. As we head east, there's loads more to see on today's little journey, and there's also a few insights as to how Roman roads were built, what's been found along them, you name it, all to come in today's video. But look at that, what a joy, stood on top of a 2,000-year-old route. So you join us on the next section. We've just travelled down the roadway there, which is part of the Roman road, and on the maps it's got embankments either side. So I guess that's OS indicating that there's still part of the Aga and the ditches either side of the Roman road. So right now you're looking at a shot of a hill that the Romans would have been faced with, or at least the Roman surveyors when they detailed this route out early on. Never really ceased to be fascinated by the old route, which is what our channel essentially revolves around, an old route, even though it sometimes appears when we're looking for it, kind of romanticise it by making this video about this beautiful route across the country. Well, to them it would be like any route that we take today.
It's like taking the A303.
Exactly. Now if you can see up on the hills over there, there's a large copse or a wooded area. So up on that hill would have been a Roman settlement, maybe a small town. I don't know, I haven't done too much research on it. But
Just saw it on the map.
we just saw it on the map, yeah. We didn't even know it was there until we looked on the OS map. So when the Romans tackled a steep hill, a steep incline, they would use what is referred to as a terrace. So with a terrace, like any other, sort of cut into the hillside and literally made a terrace for their route up the hill. Now this section, Ivan McGarry in his book states that with this hill, the Romans built their usual terrace, and as they peak to the top of the hill, it turns into the classic Aga. So we've got both of those to see. Although this looks like a beautiful terrace in the hillside, we're pretty sure this is perhaps an ancient trackway rather than the Roman road, which is a surprise they didn't take it, but I guess they didn't deem this hill steep enough to take any kind of deviation up the hill, because on the OS maps, just down there, are some significant earthworks which are apparently Roman. Okay, so we're looking for the terrace up this hill. Gary said it was here, so we know what we're looking for. We're looking for a classic cut in a hillside, and I wonder if this is what's just ahead of me here. Wow, take your pick, because there's more than one. We've got this here, flat in front of us, and we've also got a ditch down there, and another. I wonder if it's that one down there. Yeah, that curves off down there. I wonder, when you look on the OS map, it shows 2 or 3 different markings. I wonder if it's actually through here. Oh my goodness me.
That's quite impressive.
We just met 2 cyclists who thought the same thing as we did, which is, oh well, this is the Roman road. Doesn't look like a Roman road, just an old trackway. However, we then peered in the hedgerow. We also had a look at the OS map, and it does look like the Roman road is slightly to the north of this track. And when I say slightly, I mean like immediately north. I'm just going to go in this hedge and show you just the best example of a Roman road you'll see. That's just stunning. Right, if I step here on a bit of an open bit, right, Rebecca's filming from me outside there, well, I'm on top of it, and as Gary suggested, it's 20 feet wide and up to 3 feet high. Well, that fits perfectly. Hopefully get some shots which actually highlight how good this is. We've just come a further 100 yards through this bit of wood, and it gets better. It actually gets better. Didn't think that was possible, but look at this there. That is huge. When Gary said it was 3 feet high, he wasn't joking. That's probably more than 3 feet high there. That is unequivocally the best example of a Roman road I've seen in my life.
Well, I think you should go over the other side into the ditch.
Right, okay, that's a good plan. Right, I'm walking up on top of the Roman road now, and it's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It is about 20 foot wide. It is at least 4 foot high. Rebecca suggested I go this side into the other ditch. Right, so if I go down into the ditch here, right, well there I am now. Well, I'm now stood up as tall as I can, and I can't see anything from below Rebecca's waist. That gives you an idea of how tall the Roman road actually was. So the next obstacle the Romans would have faced is this wet and wide valley. This is the Tess Valley, the River Tess is just ahead of us. I'd say wet and wide, that was the words that Ivan McGarry used to describe this place, and he said you could see a faint line across the valley. Well, that flies in the face of any other research that we found. Apart from one thing, And when they built the Andover and Southampton Canal over on that side of the valley, they did so in the early 1790s, and one of the things that they did was build a lock near Horsebridge in someone's back garden actually. Now, in that lock, they found, or they said to have found, some Roman piles. Now, what that tells us is there was a bridge. Now, in some of the very early writings of this Roman road, they did say there was one bridge. Now, where that bridge is, I don't know, but they did find some piles right over on the east side. So maybe there was a couple of fording points, because there's a lot of different river flows here. A couple of fording points and a bridge perhaps on that side. That's a fascination. So they did cross it here somewhere. There's no evidence to find at the moment, and nothing really to show you. Apart from one other thing.
Ooh, what?
Sorry, this way.
Okay.
Just walked down this rather grand avenue of a churchyard just ahead of us. Now, this church was built in 1830, and we know that because just beyond it is Bossington Manor House. Now in 1829, the years before that, 1,000 years before that, and leading up to 1829, this whole area, you can see where the earthworks would have been surrounded by people, activity, a village all over that side there, Bossington village, mentioned in all kind of poll taxes, mentioned in the Doomsday Book, so probably at least 1,000 years old. And here we stand now in front of the church, which didn't serve that village. And why didn't it serve that village? Because in 1829, everybody from the village was kicked off. Why? Because they wanted a better view in the manor. So they knocked down the church that was there at the time that served these people, and they built the church again in 1830, and it just served the manor and the servants and the people that probably worked there at the time. We're probably 2/3 of our journey in now, which is strange because just back there is a halfway point. Doesn't quite make sense, but when I explain what's in my head, you might get what I'm saying. So back at Buckholt Farm. Buckholt Farm was 11 or 12 miles from Winchester. Now the whole route was about 18 or 19. Now Buckholt Farm, there was, they found a Roman occupation, did it say?
That's what it said, yeah.
Like a Roman station, a Roman, I guess in my head that's more like a, what they could refer to as a masio. Hence the name for the word mansion. In other words, it was a stopping point. It was a place where they could stop and spend their time overnight. And here we are now. We're near south of Lopcombe Corner, and we're looking for the Roman road, and we think we've found it, albeit it looks like it's almost been built on top of again. So ahead of me is what is, I assume, is the Agger. But then if I take a step further up, I'm almost on like what's a boundary ditch. So perhaps this has been reused since as a boundary ditch. Don't know, there was a yew tree there, but if it makes sense on the here, this is a great Agger, apart from that bit there, which looks like it's been built on top of again. But for another few miles in that direction now, we've got earthworks of the Roman road to see. So if you're on this route and you want to walk some of it and see some good examples, you can. You just need to carry on walking along this route here. Again, probably an ancient trackway next to it, because there's lots of indications that's a very old route. Which is not the first time we've seen today. Roman road, abandoned trackway, continue to be used. We've just left Winchester. I think that's West Winchester. Had intended to pick up the Roman road again a little bit further to our west towards Salisbury, but it seems that every road that way is closed. There's an air ambulance, so there's obviously something quite serious going on there. We can't get to. There's one little bit I wanted to get to, but we can't get there, which is really frustrating. Nevertheless, we've come back to another bit which is equally as exciting, because we're now on top of Cobhill Barrow or Cobhill Barrow,
yep.
Whatever. The point being, we're at the top of a hill. You'd be able to see from here right across to Figsbury Rings, and now we're going down again what looks like a very ancient trackway. It doesn't look anything like a Roman road, does it?
Nope.
But it looks like a very well used trackway, probably has been for the last couple of thousand years, since the Romans left. Big banks either side. And I was going to see if we could find, you know, maybe a terrace, because we're heading down a big hill. One of the things that was found just ahead of us, but we're not going to be able to get to, so we'll tell you about it now. I think probably in 1920s, 1930s, they did dig up a bit of the road to see what it was made of. And they had a top layer that was sand and small bits of gravel that sat on top of a chalk layer mixed with coarser gravel. And then finally the sides, they said, were sort of propped up with flint and coarse gravel, and what that did is it really held that top layer of the Roman road in place. And maybe that's why still today we're seeing some really good examples of this Roman road.
Yeah, because it's not easily
because it's been
destroyed.
held in place, and it drains really well, and we're seeing a big erosion either side because the flint is holding it up down in the ground. And here it is ahead of us. There's a proper terrace. You can see now on the other camera we're filming the overlay on. How lazy are we? And this is a proper terrace sunk into the side of the hill. The course of the Roman road on the OS map says it goes straight on. I'm willing to bet it doesn't. I'm willing to bet this has always been the case here. Yeah, look at that, Rebecca. It's proper terrace, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love it. So from this point on, the Roman road carries on. It goes over the A30 where we can't get to today. It goes down on into a ford where presumably there was a ford, and up onto Serum, the final bit. And that's where the final part of the journey is. Let's catch up with Rebecca. Rebecca, the viewers have got one more thing to do.
Oh yes.
Which is click on the link just here. Click on that link. Go on, click on that link now. Go on.